The day the sky turned black. No one noticed the ships at first. They weren't flashy. No thunderous arrival. No grand celestial announcement. Just a silent shadow spreading across the sky, blotting out the stars over the Pacific. One moment, humanity was arguing politics, chasing profits, scrolling through nonsense. The next, the world froze. The Galactic Dominion had arrived. Their transmission came in every language, every frequency, hijacking satellites and phone screens, news networks and digital billboards. A featureless alien voice, emotionless and slow. You are now property of the Galactic Dominion. Surrender. Resistance will not be tolerated. Non-compliance will result in annihilation. For the first time in a century, Earth stood still. Within minutes, major governments convened emergency sessions. Presidents, premiers, and generals stared at grainy orbital images of black spires hanging above the atmosphere like swords. No demands, no diplomacy, just surrender. The UN fractured immediately. Some voted to capitulate. Others hesitated. A few proposed fighting, but without unity, their words rang hollow. Armies weren't ready. Satellites weren't tracking fast enough. Humanity wasn't ready for war. The Dominion knew it. That's why they came now. And then a voice broke through. Not a politician, not a general, just a soldier who refused to stay silent. Her name was Captain Mara Vance, former Special Forces, discharged after a classified op gone wrong. She hijacked an unused global emergency channel. Her face, scarred and weathered, appeared across billions of screens. Her voice was calm, fierce. To those watching, they came because they think we'll bow. Because we've spent too long fighting ourselves. They think we're soft, broken, finished. But they don't know us. Not yet. She stayed at the camera, eyes like steel. We've fought worse with less. We've built miracles in ruins. We've survived everything this planet's thrown at us. And now they want to take it from us. No, they expect our knees to bend. Instead, we rise. That night, resistance flared across Earth like wildfire. In the hills of Afghanistan, old warlords unearthed buried caches. In Detroit, retired engineers repurposed factory lines to make weapons from scrap. In the jungles of Brazil, hunters took down a Dominion scout drone using only bolas and traps. People who had nothing left began to fight like they had everything to lose. The Dominion sent a message. A warning. A city, Lagos, was vaporized in a beam of silent white fire. 20 million lives gone in an instant. But Earth did not kneel. The next day, a Dominion landing vessel was downed outside Warsaw by a team of teenagers using a hijacked construction mech and a fuel tanker turned into a bomb. The aliens were confused, then irritated. They were supposed to surrender, one Dominion commander snarled. They hadn't yet learned the truth. Humans don't surrender. We fight in the ruins. The Dominion burned our cities, but they didn't break our will. New York fell in a day. Tokyo held for 3. Johannesburg turned into a war zone of collapsed buildings and smoke-choked skies. Their beams scoured streets, their drones hunted movement. Civilization shattered. But from the ruins, we adapted. They didn't expect humans to use rubble as cover, to lure patrols into narrow alleys where their walkers couldn't turn. They didn't understand that in every destroyed structure, there was a survivor wiring bombs, building decoys, or planting traps made from scrap and fury. Captain Mara Vance had vanished after her broadcast, but her message hadn't. It echoed in the tunnels beneath London, where resistance cells formed in the tube. It blared from portable speakers in the mountains of Peru. It was painted on walls, tattooed on skin, passed like scripture. They expect our knees to bend. Instead, we rise. In the Rocky Mountains, a software engineer named Saeed Khan turned a network of old-weather satellites into a jamming system. His code blinded Dominion scouts across 1,000 kilometers. He was killed in the first retaliatory strike, but not before his program spread globally. In Paris, an elderly couple repurposed their antique radio equipment to coordinate sabotage missions between surviving resistance groups across Europe. When the Dominion finally found them, the woman detonated a charge beneath their feet. Her final words, "You'll remember us now." Even children fought. In Jakarta, 12-year-old Layla led a group of orphans through the sewer systems, smuggling medicine and parts to resistance fighters, slipping past Dominion scanners with chalk-marked walls and whispered routes. We were outgunned, outnumbered, alone, but we were everywhere. Dominion commanders began noticing something strange in their reports, patterns that didn't make sense. Human attacks were random but effective. They assumed there must be a central command. There wasn't. We didn't need one. Humanity didn't fight as one army. We fought as millions of independent fires, too wild to snuff out. One captured Dominion officer said it best before his execution. "You're not a civilization. You're a plague." He meant it as an insult. We took it as a compliment. The Dominion sent elite extermination squads, faster drones, heavier bombardments. But each strike only hardened our resolve. For every human killed, 2 more took up arms. Farmers became snipers. Mechanics became saboteurs. Teachers became tacticians. We weren't trying to win. Not yet. We were making sure the Dominion couldn't forget us. By month's end, half the planet was ash, and yet their fleets had stalled. For every inch they gained, they bled for it. They came expecting a swift conquest. Instead, they found a species that refused to die quietly. The spark that lit the stars. By the 3rd month, Earth was a graveyard, an approving ground. Dominion command grew desperate. Earth wasn't just resisting, it was bleeding them dry. They activated Operation Ashen Silence, their protocol for planetary extermination. Entire regions were targeted for orbital cleansing. Cities, forests, oceans, vaporized to silence human defiance. But we'd learned. We adapted faster than they could exterminate. Hidden beneath the Sierra Nevada mountains, a resistance network called Echo Black finished its most ambitious project, Project Rebirth, a hijacked Dominion AI core repurposed to infiltrate their fleet systems. Built by human coders, fueled by salvaged alien tech, and protected by ex-special forces and ex-cons alike, it was a Frankenstein miracle. Echo Black broadcast a signal into orbit. For 93 seconds, half the Dominion fleet went dark. Shields dropped. Comms cut out. Confusion spread like wildfire. And in that tiny window, humanity struck back. Across the planet, coordinated strikes hit landing zones, Walker convoys, and command outposts. Resistance units used hacked Dominion drones to attack from within. A hijacked transport rammed a battleship mid-atmosphere. The world lit up, not with fire, but with the roar of vengeance. In Rio, a strike team led by guerrilla fighter Marcos Soto took out a Dominion energy relay with nothing but repurposed saw pumps and molten metal. In Nigeria, resistance sniper teams picked off alien officers one by one over 72 hours, never staying in one place longer than 90 seconds. But it wasn't just Earth watching anymore. The hacked signal reached beyond the planet. Across the stars, on subjugated Dominion worlds, other species, silent for centuries, saw something impossible. Humans fighting the Dominion to a standstill. Not with fleets or power. With grit. With rage. With heart. On the mining moons of Voorhees, the insectoid Karan laid down their tools and picked up weapons. On the swamps of Trelos, the amphibious Urek began sabotaging Dominion fuel lines. The name human became a whisper among the oppressed, a symbol of rebellion. Even within the Dominion, cracks formed. Some soldiers began hesitating. A few defected. One of them, Strategic Overseer Golok, a tactician once responsible for the fall of 4 planets, surrendered to the resistance under a white flag stitched from a torn Earth flag in Dominion cloth. He said only this: "You have done the impossible. I want to help you finish it." Vance, resurfacing from months underground, accepted his alliance without hesitation. "If you want to fight," she told him, "fight like a human." Together, they planned the unthinkable: destroy the Dominion's orbital command node, the brain of the occupation fleet. It would be suicide. It would also be the most human thing imaginable. Legends never surrender. The orbital command node hovered above Earth like a vulture, silent, massive, invincible. It was the Dominion's nerve center, coordinating every ship, strike, and troop movement. As long as it stood, Earth's resistance was fighting blind. Captain Mara Vance knew the plan to destroy it was madness. But madness was all humanity had left. The assault team was a patchwork of Earth's best and broken, veterans, hackers, defectors, engineers, and Garlock, the alien tactician turned traitor to his own empire. They called themselves the Final Echo. Their mission: hijack a Dominion troop carrier, fly it into orbit, and detonate a fusion core inside the command node. No escape. No backup. One chance. The launch came from what was once the Arctic, now melted and cracked, but hiding the last functioning space elevator Earth had. As the ship rose, Dominion forces scrambled. Too late. The AI systems Vance's team had sabotaged earlier jammed their responses just long enough. In orbit, the skies lit up with chaos. Resistance drones, piloted by volunteers on their last legs, slammed into Dominion escorts. Garlock guided the ship through the storm, dodging plasma fire with impossible precision. Vance stood at the front, armor scorched, eyes locked on the target. Inside the node, they fought room by room. Hallways ran with blood, alien and human. They reached the central core, planted the fusion charges, and set the timer. That's when the trap closed. The Dominion had known. The Overlord Ascendant, their flagship, the most powerful vessel in the fleet, dropped from warp above Earth, preparing a final extermination blast. The command node would fall, but Earth would die with it, unless someone stayed behind to detonate manually. Vance didn't hesitate. "Tell them," she said, handing Garlock the final beacon, "that we never surrendered. That we never will." He nodded once. "You have taught us defiance, Mara Vance. You have taught us what it means to be human." She smiled. "Then go show the galaxy." She sealed the blast doors behind them and watched as the ship carrying her team escaped. Then she triggered the core. The explosion ripped the command node apart, tearing the sky open. The shockwave disabled the Overlord Ascendant mid-charge. Earth was saved, and humanity gained a martyr. Word spread like fire. Across the galaxy, enslaved worlds erupted in revolution. Garlock became the first non-human to wear Earth's resistance symbol. On dozens of planets, the Dominion fell, not to fleets, but to people inspired by the fire that started on one primitive world. Earth rebuilt slowly, scars deep, losses heavier than numbers could count. But the name human became legend, not because we were the strongest, not because we were the smartest, but because, in the face of extinction, we chose to fight, and we never surrendered.